Welcome to Education 206 here at McNeese State University. We are thrilled that you are choosing to pursue becoming an effective classroom leader, and that's what this class is all about. This is a semester-long foundational course for future educators. So those of you who want to become classroom teachers, and those of you who maybe eventually want to become principals, counselors, those sorts of things. So coaches, band directors, teachers of early childhood, elementary, content teachers, secondary teachers, this is it. So we are thrilled to have you. It's a foundational course for your program. The focus of this course is to focus on student development theories. So how do children learn? How do they grow at different ages and stages? And then we combine that with effective classroom environment strategies. So some proven research-based methods that we know build positive environments for our students to learn and grow. We believe here at McNeese State University that right from the beginning of your program, you should have the opportunity to begin field work. You're going to hear it called field experience. For this particular course, it's 5 observation hours. And as you proceed through the course, the processes and procedures for gaining those 5 hours will be shared with you. So we believe that it's very important that you begin to apply what you're learning in your courses to some type of field experience. And for this class, you'll have the opportunity to observe and begin to apply some of the principles that you're learning in this class to what you actually see in the field. It allows you to have a really strong foundation to begin those lessons in the methods courses that you're going to get to actually work with small groups and teach. But in this class, it will only be 5 hours of observation only. No teaching, no small groups. We'll warm up to that later in your program. So this gives you an overview of the way the course is laid out. Week 1, of course, we're just getting our bearings, we're reviewing the syllabus, getting introduced to the course and one another. Weeks 2 through 4 are where you're going to get those student development and learning theories. So it's going to be 3 modules broken down into different types of learning theories and directly correlated to help you prepare not only for the midterm in this course, but also for the Praxis PLT exam that you have to take for teacher certification. So you don't have to take that now, don't worry, but this material is directly aligned to support you in being successful on that exam. Weeks 5 through 10 are where you're going to learn about the 5 components of effective classroom leadership. Each week, you will be introduced to a new critical component, and you will have an opportunity to learn more about them and what they look like in the elementary setting, in the early childhood, middle school, high school, the different settings. And then that leads us to the major assessments. So that's weeks 11 through 14. So your field placement observations, those 5 hours that we talked about, you will actually sign up for a 2-week window. Sometime you're going to report to the school sometime for a 2-week window in weeks 5 through 10. You're going to actually sign up for that in the beginning weeks of class, week 2, 3, or 4. More information will be provided about how to sign up later. Don't worry. I'm just letting you know it's coming. In week 13, that's when you will actually submit all of your field placement, your observation hours. Again, don't stress about it right now. Just want you to know that it's coming. In module 2, you will learn more about observations, and in module 3, you will learn more about observations. How to gain your field placement, how to report, how to take notes, how to document, all of those things will be coming. All of those instructions will be coming. And then your major assessments, in addition to the field placement, is a midterm in week 7. The midterm is directly correlated to what you learn in weeks 2 through 4. And then a portfolio, which you will begin preparing in week 11. And you'll submit it as part 1 of your final exam. And part 2 of your final exam will be a multiple choice exam. And those will be in week 14. And both of those are directly correlated to the 5 components that you're going to learn about effective classroom leadership. So that gives you an overview of the way the course is laid out. So why do we start with the student development theories in weeks 2 through 4? We have to understand how children and adolescents learn. It's very important for us to understand how they develop. And as you review these, you'll notice that they're going to be directly aligned with the psychology class that you've taken or currently taking. And you're also going to see how there's not a one size fits all. Many times they don't necessarily contradict one another, these different theories. They actually complement one another. When you begin to couple what you're learning in this class with what you're seeing in the field, you will understand how those development theories manifest in different ways at different stages for our children. The student learning development theories, as I mentioned, are directly aligned with Praxis PLT preparation. So right from the beginning, we are laying the foundation to help you be successful on that teacher certification exam. Also, the student learning development theories and learning about them helps inform instructional decisions and classroom design. So as we move into those critical components, you will, in weeks 5 through 10, you will begin to see how understanding how students learn is directly connected to the decisions we make to create an effective environment to help them learn. So those go hand in hand. And then lastly, it creates a foundation for responsive teaching so that we can meet the needs of all learners in a way that is scaffolded and supportive for strong student outcomes. So again, as we talked about the student learning theories in weeks 2 through 4, this is just a highlight of some of what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be discussing the Piaget will be one that I'm sure you're familiar with from some of your psychology courses. The stages of cognitive development are very important. How their little thinking brains begin to attach meaning to words and concepts, and they're just little sponges. And then Vygotsky's very important zone of proximal development, that in his social learning theory, extremely important to help us understand our role in supporting students. So we want to put them in a zone where we are getting them out of what we call the comfort zone, the things that they can do easily without help. And we're wanting to get them more autonomous. We're trying to get them to more challenging things without our help. But that zone of proximate development is what we're striving for in the classroom. And then Erikson's psychosocial development is another theory we'll spend some time learning about. Essentially, part of the meat of the course is going to be on the behaviorism versus constructivism theories. Constructivism is something that you might remember with John Dewey's theories. Don't worry, if all of these seem kind of fuzzy right now, that's what we spend weeks 2 through 4 getting more concrete for you so that you can be ready to go for that midterm exam where you have a mastery of these theories. In weeks 5 through 10, as I mentioned before, is where we ease into those 5 components of effective classroom leadership. So we're going to take just a few moments going over these 5: clear expectations, classroom setup and structure, relationships and engagement, maximizing instructional time, and constructive behavior management. So these are the 5. The first one, as I mentioned, is clear and consistent expectations. So this is setting and communicating norms from day one. Actually, we'll talk about how we can even do that before we meet our students. Using student-friendly language that's positive, that's affirming, in order to set these expectations, and then reinforcing those expectations through visual examples, through modeling, and through consistent routines in the classroom. Critical component number 2 is thoughtful classroom setup and structure. We talk about how we can design a space that is supportive of both student learning and engagement. Essentially, those thoughtful classroom setup structures help us establish routines and help students fill roles in the classroom to become more engaged in the environment. And then structuring lessons for both flexibility and equity, ensuring that all students have access to learning. Critical component number 3 is where we discuss relationships and engagements, making sure that we really learn and understand our students' names, their interests, their strengths, really leaning into the concepts of growth mindset to help them see the potential and capacity of their own learning. Using collaborative and community building strategies so that students can begin to use shared inquiry and dialogue in order to engage with academic content, and then build culturally responsive connections, not only between teacher and student, but among students and even with other stakeholders in the learning community. Component 4 is maximizing instructional time. How do we ensure that students are getting the most out of our time together? So ensuring that we have smooth transitions, that there's minimal downtime, that active learning and student choice are a big part of the way our lessons function. And then lastly, the critical component 5 is addressing misbehavior constructively. We want to learn how to redirect with nonverbal cues and proximity. We want to learn how to resolve conflict and repair relationships, not only, again, teacher to student, but among students. And then we want to learn how to recognize, reward, and reinforce those positive behaviors so that students can have strong academic outcomes and can become contributing citizens of the learning community. So lastly, again, we just want to dip into that field work and the final assessment. Remember, you will be gaining 5 observation hours. You will complete 5 observation forms, 1 per hour. You will have a final portfolio that allows you to synthesize all of your field work in the course content. And you will have a final exam to apply these 5 critical components. So you will be learning more about those, how to gain those observation hours in module 2 and 3. So just stay tuned for that. It's coming up. And then lastly, your assignment for this module is review that syllabus. So you need to take time to dive in and read over it. What is the late work policy? How much time do I have to complete late work? Do I have to do all of the work in this course? Is field work required? What do I do if I cannot obtain transportation to visit my field placement site? How do I contact my instructor? What are his or her office hours? What is the proper way to professionally communicate with my instructor? What am I responsible for and how do I turn in materials? All of these things are in the syllabus, and there is a syllabus quiz to hold you responsible for that stuff. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the syllabus and with the course. Have a wonderful week, and we look forward to hearing from you and learning more about you.